Hey, this is Austin Saylor for InVision, and I'm going to show you a few tiny tweaks that can make your animations and your products so much better. Let's jump right into InVision Studio app, and I'll show you how. So I'm pretty new to InVision Studio, but I'm not new to animation. So I've been trying to figure out exactly what the best tiny tweaks I can teach you. And, I'm A, impressed with InVision Studio, and B, I was kind of bummed because the two things I had in mind, they do automatically anytime you add an animation. So for instance, anytime you add an animation, it defaults to 0.3 seconds. That was one of the first things I was going to say. Make sure your animations are short and snappy. But that's all automatically done. The other tiny tweak I was going to talk about was to make your animation smooth. So, when you have a default animation in InVision Studio, it has this S-curve. That's exactly what I was going to teach you to do. Because what we don't want it to do is we don't want it to be linear like this. So in other animation programs, that's the default, is it's linear animation curves. So it's great that InVision automatically gives you this curve, and that's fantastic. So I had to come up with a couple other tiny tweaks. So let's just jump right into that. So the first one we're going to talk about is parallax. Now, I've got this simple animation here that's not parallax. It's not bad. It's nice. You can scroll through them. It gets the job done, but let's go ahead and make it really awesome. So doing parallax is quite easy in Studio. All you need to do is make sure you have images that are wide format, not just vertical, or at least zoom into them. So Japan, you can see my image is actually pretty wide. This blue outline shows exactly where that image is. So go into Artboard 2. We're going to go down to where Japan image is. Now it's all inside of this one mask, but we just want to grab that image itself and then drag it to the right. And we'll do the same thing with Artboard 1 and the Australia image. So let's go down here and find the Australia image. And for this one, we're going to move it to the right. And let's go ahead and play. Now as that's moving, you can see how this is doing a parallax effect in the background. That image is panning to the right and left more than just the window that you're looking through. And that is awesome. I love that. And that's one tiny tweak. It takes almost no effort whatsoever. You just need to know what to do and execute on it, and it's really smooth. I love the parallax effect. Now for an unconventional parallax scroll, we're going to do things a little bit differently. So we've got a similar setup in terms of the UI, but we're actually going to let things behave slightly differently. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we're going to do. I've got these buttons set up so that I can just click through, or I can also swipe. This is, at least for setting things up and testing things out, I like doing it that way so that I can slowly see how things are going to animate. So now you can see that instead of just having the whole panel scooting to the left and right and having parallax in the images themselves are just kind of fading in and out, but they're also scaling down at the same time or up at the same time. So it really feels smooth. And you'll notice that the icons are coming in and out of the screen off the edges. So right now we have them kind of doing kind of a linear motion, going left and right, up and down. And that tiny tweak, I think, makes this animation even cooler than that original parallax, because it goes against exactly what you'd think is going to happen, and sometimes that element of surprise is really nice for the user. And I'll quickly show how that works inside of Studio. It's maybe kind of obvious, but I do want to make sure that I go through it just a little bit. So in the Artboard 2, we've got the urban, we've got the buildings, the bike, and the cone. Now these are also going to be in Artboard 1. That's how they animate in. And I'll just kind of show you where they sit. So we've got urban sitting down here at the bottom. We've got the buildings off to the left. We've got the cone off to the right. And that's what lets these things slide in from the side. And let's take a look. I think all of these things at this point are linear timeline-wise, like they all happen at the same time. Oh no, okay, so I have already offset these a little bit. So the advantage of having these offset is so that when you animate between the scenes, you have the old icons animating off first and the new animations or the new icons animating on second. So they don't have to overlap and look kind of weird. It also just feels good that way. Now we could stop right here, and I think this is pretty cool, but I'm not here to give you just okay. Let's go for awesome. And for our final tiny tweak, try saying that 10 times fast. I know I can't. We're gonna do some rotation and a little bit of angular motion. So instead of having the icons just moving in a kind of a single direction, we're gonna give them a little bit of an angle and adding rotation. This is going to make this thing so smooth. So let's go into Artboard 2 and let's look for, we got tree. That's this little tree icon right here. We're actually going to drag this off to the right so that it animates kind of up and at an angle. And we'll rotate this. Let's give it 20, 30-degree rotation. That looks good. Now we're going to do the leaves. That's this part right here, but now it's coming off of this Artboard 2 to the left. And let's just give this a rotation of, let's go negative. Let's do negative 30 and maybe move it down a little bit. And let's go to the stump. That's the stump right here. Let's have this come off at an angle this way. We're also going to give this one a negative, maybe negative 40. And finally, we have this, I guess, what did I call this? Bush. So we're going to have that come off at an angle as well. Oh, and it already rotates just a little, so let's give it a little more rotation. And let's just test this out. I am liking that. I think that's pretty cool. It gives it a much more organic feel. Now, I've already put this in the oven for 15 minutes, so let's take a look at what this looks like once it's fully done. All right, we'll take a look at this. We've got everything rotating. Things that are coming in on the next screen are also rotating, and they're also offset. Let's continue going. This one's my favorite one, especially the beach ball, as it's coming in and rotating around. Just kind of feels like it's rolling onto the scene. And all of this just feels so much better. I think this is one of the coolest tiny tweaks that you can do, getting unconventional with your parallax. So I hope that was helpful and showed you some ideas that you can use, as well as maybe spark some new ideas that you could use for unconventional parallax or any kind of cool animation inside of your products and apps. Go make something awesome and go make something move. All right, so that wasn't that bad. Just a few tiny tweaks to make your animations that much better. I really encourage you to jump into Studio yourself and try these out for your app, website, or product. It's going to make all the difference. See you next time.